Hi, this is Sandy Anderson, and this is my Module 4, Understanding My Community. Before I get started, I did reorder some of the slides just because of the makeup of my school district. I thought it was important and it would kind of help to paint a clearer picture of how to understand my community because it's just a tad bit different. I work in the Rock Creek School District, and so I'm going to kind of go over a few community efforts that has led Rock Creek to where they are today. In 1999, there was a construction of a new high school called Rock Creek High School, and it was in between two very rural communities of St. George and Westmoreland. And essentially, they needed to consolidate, and so they built a brand new high school in the middle of a cornfield, directly halfway between both towns. And so that was kind of the formation of Rock Creek, and that happened back in 1999. In 2004, I believe it was, they had an additional addition onto the high school because they had already began to outgrow it. In 2007, in St. George, which is one of the original communities that is about 5 miles east of Manhattan, they had to construct a brand new elementary school because they had completely outgrown their previous school. And so that consisted of, I believe it would be 16 classrooms. And then my position was actually added in 2014 when they had to expand that building once more and add on 6 additional classrooms. And so it's been a very actively growing school district since I have came on board, and really for about the last 20 years it's been pretty intense. In 2020 then we were out of space again, and our district passed another bond, which all of these were all bond projects, called Rock Creek Middle School. And what that did was that was placed at the same campus as Rock Creek High School, and that allowed to free up space. They moved the 5th and 6th grade grade levels from the 2 elementary schools up to the middle school, and then that also freed up the previously existing junior high to be utilized as high school classrooms. And so it was kind of like a catch-all. If you took our original or our introduction class, in the case study that they shared almost sounded like they had watched our school district grow, because it was very similar to that. And so that's just kind of community efforts that has brought us to the point. A few other non-specific to building funds facilities that have been actively created would be the Wolf area, that's in the elementary, and then a couple other recreation type activities. And so just to kind of give you a glimpse, so this right here would be the map that covers our school district. It's a very large area that is covered, but very rural. And so this over here is Manhattan. It's kind of essentially St. George is a blanket community for the growth of Manhattan because they can't grow to the west anymore because of the base there. They can't grow south because that goes into the Flint Hills, and then to the north is Tuttle Creek. And so a lot of overflow is happening there. So right up here is our high school, middle school campus. And then below, this is St. George Elementary. So the high school has about, I want to say like 800 in enrollment. St. George is sitting around 400. So that's just a K through 4 elementary school. And this is actually where I work. It's Westmoreland Elementary. And so we actually only have 130 students for K4. And it's just kind of what makes our building unique to our district makeup. And there's just a lot of differences between the two communities. We've been working hard to pull everything together, but the communities are just very different. And so I'm going to kind of touch on that as we go through some of this. So this just gives you some demographic background. And when I pulled this information, I pulled it from the US Census and then a Pottawatomie County. So this isn't specific to just Westmoreland. This is Pottawatomie County as a whole is what I looked at up here. And so it's a pretty affluent area with 29% graduating high school, 23.8 attending some college, 8.1 with associates, 22.6 with bachelor's degrees, and 11% with a graduate degree or higher. I actually previously worked at St. George Elementary, and there is just a large difference. I've never been in a classroom with so many parents that were professors or doctors or just very high educational attainment. It seemed to be. The average median income is about $70,000. And then this just kind of breaks down the demographics. I compared the county to then our district as a whole and then to Westmoreland just because we are not very diverse at all. Very predominantly white community, and it's kind of how it is as a district and as a county, but Westmoreland is very, very predominantly white. So there's just not a lot of multicultural celebrations, which I'll attend to in a little bit. The political structure, our Westmoreland, which is the small town in which I teach, we only have 130 kids. It's actually the county seat of Pottawatomie County, which is quite large. And so it's just kind of odd that that's the county seat because it's a very small area. So there we have county commissioners, our county health department. There's city councils at both towns that can have influence on some of the policies that do occur, or at least they pass policies that can impact how the school does business. I also included our Board of Education because that's a very big political structure that is very underrated. And sometimes I try to always redirect parents and everyone else to the Board of Education because I don't know sometimes if they realize they vote those people in, as well as the State Board of Education. And just, I think these are all important avenues that impact how we do business and how decisions are made. Looking forward to power structure. So I'll try to kind of summarize this up a little bit. I would say that our district operates more in a processes type approach. It is deemed that it is a chain of command, but it's kind of an ever revolving door. When we communicate with our board members or with our superintendent, as educators, we most definitely take things through our administrators, but we are also included in a lot of those decisions or have the opportunity to be included on a lot of those decisions. So we are part of our curriculum adoption teams. We are part of our calendar committee. Like there's opportunities for involvement to help make these decisions. It's just choosing to be a part of that and not just choosing to react when you don't choose to be a part. So I'm very thankful to work in a district that values input in that way. Typically, when we make decisions like that, for example, when we were going through a curriculum adoption process, we would reach out and share that with our site council, so they were made very aware, as well as anybody who attends Board of Education meetings. I've been attending those for almost 2 years. I either Zoom in or I attend them in person, and I am often the only one in the audience, but it's been very valuable in understanding the systematic approach and that we all really do have the opportunity to have influence if we make the choice to. And it just takes time and investing in that. So that just kind of summarizes that. Our Board of Education, I appreciate it because there's just a lot of diverse viewpoints. 2 years prior when we had a Board of Education, which is why I kind of started to attend, there was zero conversation. It was very much a top-down, like our superintendent provided information. Everybody just voted yes, and then we moved on. And so many teachers weren't being heard because of that. And so since then, we've had a change in administration from the superintendent aspect, as well as we've had a lot of Board of Education members give up their seats or move on. And that has really shifted the conversations that are being had, which I'm very thankful for. I feel like they're very real conversations with a lot of viewpoints. Like I do feel like our community members are very well represented in those conversations from all avenues, and I'm thankful for that. As far as micro-political societies, we do have these. COVID brought on some Facebook groups that I don't know if they'd be the teacher bashing groups or for sure what they would be, but it's kind of just been a, let's see, how do I say? It's just been a nesting place for negativity. And so from several of those members, I've had conversations and I always just encourage them to attend our Board of Education meetings. And they did start to, and many of them would speak and share their input there, which was great, but they also just have to come with the understanding that we can share input, but that doesn't mean it will always constitute change. So I feel like our power structure has the greatest impact on strengthening student learning and supporting school improvement and promoting the current and future success of our district. Moving on to social tensions, which I just kind of touched a little bit on as well. A couple other social tensions that I would say exist is athletic dominance. Living in a very affluent community provides a lot of competition for a limited amount of positions, essentially. And so that can kind of be defeating sometimes, because I do feel like athletics takes the dominant stance within our district. CRT, of course, reading curriculum, as we were going through a curriculum adoption process. This was also a big question, political indifferences. Private versus public. Sometimes I think that many of our parents think that we're a private school, in which we're not. They just don't understand that we must service everyone sometimes. And so I think that can kind of create social tension sometimes, as well as taxpayer concerns, kind of following up with that. Sometimes it's hard for people to not determine where every penny of their taxes go, and so that can create some tensions. Public opinion. I feel like overall our district is very reputable and well liked, but sometimes individually that can vary just based on their personal experiences. I feel like collectively as a whole, people want to move here and do move here. But then again, it can be dominated by someone's personal experience. I think what can be done, we can have more resource nights, more literacy and math nights, so then we have things to attend that are not just sporting events, that can be more inclusive for everyone. And I also think it's important for parents to have access to the curriculums being taught, not for an inability to trust teachers, but it's just, why not? Like, they want to know what we're teaching, and if we want to build their engagement, let's just let them know what we're teaching. And continuing that open door policy. Our superintendent and all of our administrators are great about always welcoming feedback and just always being a listening ear. Customs and traditions. So this is more specific to my school, which is Westmoreland Elementary, because this is kind of where it gets really different between the two elementary schools. There are tons of customs and traditions that come from a very, very small town. Westmoreland is like the classic cow town in Kansas. And so we have the things that we have done for years and years and years and years and years. And many of those are field trips. Field trips are very ritualistic. Traditions, there's just, the list goes on for all the things that we do on a consistent basis. Economic conditions. I think our biggest issue with economic conditions is that we do not have a lot of businesses within our district. Our tax dollars primarily comes from homeowners and landowners. And so that does make it hard to be a landowner in our county, but it is what it is. Taxes can really get higher as well. Community groups, these play a very large role in our buildings, and I'm so thankful for them, because it's just amazing to sit in a sit meeting and think of like, oh, this kid needs that. Who could we go to? And just having this list of resources for people who, they do have impact on our schools, but I do feel like it is in a very positive student and adult first type of way. I don't feel like it's in a dominance approach. This next one here is leadership. So this just kind of breaks it down within our specific community, who to go to. And it's kind of fun to reflect on this, because there are some very predominant people, but they're the type of people that would do anything for everyone. And I feel like they have the greatest impact on advocating for the needs of our school and our community. And so that would include our principal. I think he's probably the most influential within our community. Then our PTO presidents, our Chamber of Commerce is very, very involved, as well as Farmers State Bank. They give out at least $10,000 every year to teachers just for cash for classrooms. So that's a great partnership. And kind of the list goes on. I would say that seniority has the largest impact in the way decisions are made. Then community channels, we have, I'm going to have to continue on